Hi, this is Harley Taylor for the PAP5 Director's Commentary, talking about Cold-Blooded Thug. So a little background just to jump into this film. I'm actually in a program this year with 9 other people, post grads, like young 20-somethings, and it's a real concentrated year-long program where we end up spending like every day together. So beginning of the year, like well before actually this class, we had a conversation about doing something cool that we could look back on. That'd be more than just like taking pictures and stuff. And obviously, like I'm in a group full of like it's not like a film group or anything like that. So everyone in it was actually medical students, mostly medical students, a music teacher, two like people that want to be therapists. So real odd bunch, but me bringing like the cinema to the group, proposed making a movie together. So hence why this project is 18 minutes long and has all these random people, and none of them are actors or actresses, but very fun project. Very glad we did it, and I think it turned out great. But okay, so these opening shots
worked for the Titan of industry.
They're all just drone shots. Yeah, they're all just drone shots that I pulled from ArtGrid, which is a stock footage website that I subscribe to. But basically, we just wanted to add Lucas, one of our fellows, one of the people in the group, and it was like 2 days before I finished the whole thing, and I was just like, well, we can add you on as narration. So he wrote up some little narration script that didn't honestly have that much to do with the film, and just kind of, I just kind of let him loose. I was like, do your thing, make it yours, and I think it's actually it was like the last piece that we needed, so it turned out great. And like feedback-wise, a lot of people have commented on it, but it's funny because, obviously these are some of the better shots of the movie, but they're not my shots, so in hindsight, like I was just throwing it on there, but that it does kind of like that's the trick with stock footage that I still haven't kind of figured out yet. Is you don't want it to be like, it's very clear difference between this stuff and well, not so clear, because actually I used some drone shots later on, but I do have my own drone. But I guess one thing I could do better is blending that together, because I don't want it to be too obvious that someone else shot all that stuff. Kind of want to keep it all in this consistent. But okay, here we go. I'll pause here. So this is, it's just a house. It's actually, a big part of this project is we actually all wanted to, another dream behind this project was we wanted to not only have all our friends in the movie, but also we wanted to shoot it in places that meant something to us. And this is one of the houses that a lot of our friends live at. I'm actually moving into for the summer, and it's a common place where we spent a lot of time together. So that was, a significant place, and you'll see that throughout the film. We shoot at a lot of different locations that they're all meaningful to us in different ways. So that's that. And then of course I wanted to use a title font that kind of fit the time setting, because we were kind of going for like a 1950s feel, and even though obviously like there's still cars and stuff, so we didn't stick to it too truly, which kind of, adds another like weird flair to the movie. But okay, opening scene. This is scene 1. This is tough. I actually shot this whole scene, and it was just hard to nail the dialogue. I feel like I feel like I could do something better about it, but I don't know specifically what I could do, because I feel like I spent so much time on this specific scene. I don't know if I would do much of it differently. Honestly, it turned out great. The music did make it come together. This right here, this gap in between, the love interest leaving and Detective Florence coming in is kind of awkward. I feel like I didn't do this so well, and he's down. And this next shot's weird. Yeah, you see how his hands were on his face and then off his face? That was kind of messed up. And then she comes in and, trying to hide like the bikes and stuff in the background. So that was funny. And we're only shooting in, obviously, this corner because if you turn to the other side of the room, there's like all kinds of electronics and stuff we were trying to avoid. Okay, this is a good part coming up. This is when Rise of the Valkyries comes in, and I love it right here. I'll turn it up a little bit. You can't hear any of the computer audio because I couldn't figure that out. But if you watch the full, but without the commentary, you'll see that. Or if you try to line this up. All right, watch this turn. I love that. It's funny because I went backwards, like chronologically wise, like he'd already turned, and that was an interesting decision. I didn't do that on purpose. Actually, when I was making the rough and I was just throwing a bunch of stuff in, I threw in both of those shots because I liked both of them, and I wasn't sure on which one I wanted to use, so I just put them in there both side by side, and yeah, so I'll go back. So let's see. Here it comes. I like that shot right there. Really rises, the mood. Okay, so this shot I loved. I loved his eyeballs, and I loved having Florence in it. But I also love this turn. And so, I just threw them in both in the assembly edit, and then going back, I just never really took it out. I kind of thought it was funny, and just kind of kept it as a placeholder. And then when I was adding the music, I just threw the song in, and it timed itself perfectly. I didn't do it on purpose, and I was like, oh, man, that's magic. So that's one of those funny film things. I'm sure it happens to lots of editors, but, that one just fell into place, and it's actually probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. So, so then they run out, and we had to do this railing shot like 4 times because Shane wanted to nail that, and he never actually did. It's so funny. And you also see that he had his overcoat on. He was real particular about wearing the overcoat outside, which is really funny. I could care less about it, but it's one of those things when you have your method lead roles are always your most trouble. So he was definitely our most, no, I'm just kidding. But he was great, but quirky. The lead role always has some quirks about him. I love this wide shot. A lot of people do too. It's funny. I picked it up doing some videos in the past, and this scene particularly, you'll see a lot of continuous shots. Like I'll let it roll and just do a lot of whip pans back and forth. We actually had to go back and reshoot this. We're just in the park next to the house. Lots of people in the background. A lot of people were looking at us funny. Florence got a bunch of corny lines. Blinking knickers. Whole-blooded thug in the universe. Oh no, poor girl. So we actually had to. This is a reshoot right here, and then we had this already. So going back. So when I did it the first time, we just did these dialogues. And I went back and I was like, there's nothing connecting this to this, this scene. And so, because it was kind of like a scene 2 to scene 3. And so we went back and reshot, and you can tell because the color's a little different. I didn't nail that, which is funny. They tell you to do the, those shooting logs. Obviously I didn't do it and paid for it. Also, just lighting. I think today I did keep similar settings, but the lighting of that day versus the lighting of the other day was just different. And I think I just rolled the dice because of timing and stuff. We just had to get it done, but you definitely can notice a difference. But overall, I'm glad we did it because that shot's so needed just to tie the environment together, kind of bring the audience into where we're at. And I love these whip pans. You've met? Yep. Then we cut to, see Florence right here on the left. Her... everyone lives with host families in this program, and so she lived with this host family and with these two little kids, and they just happen to kind of not really look like our main character, but this is a funny scene. Obviously we wanted to find a way to get them in the movie, so this is a flashback scene, but I don't know how well it translates that that's Detective Reginald's sister at first. It's kind of like, I wonder how the audience perceives that. She did such a good job of acting. A thug in the universe. You're a thug. And then Luke, the little boy, he gets up. His cue is to get up and run away, but he ran actually towards them, and that didn't match up with the script. So if you actually look closely, like see the grill over here and stuff, he ran in this direction, and he's getting up to run in this direction. But when I was editing, I was like, it doesn't make sense for him to run in this direction. So I just flipped the shot, and you can see, like, look at the truck. Yeah, the truck might be your teller. Oh, wait, truck's over there. Yeah, so the truck's over here. He's running in that direction. But I flipped the shot and made it look like he's running the opposite direction. No, that's something most people don't notice, but if you're looking closely, you'll pick it up. Chris is okay. So Greg, our sidekick of the villain, I think he might have been one of our most talented actors, and he had one line in the whole movie. But he did such a great job of facial expressions. I mean, I love this particular shot. I love watch his face. And, as the audience, you're kind of, you're listening and watching Darth, our main character right here, but everyone always comments on his face. Like, it's so hard not to look here. And then, which works out well, because watch how when he turns, the camera follows his eyesight. So we're looking wherever he's looking. He's looking at the villain right now, Darth, and then he turns, and then we turn. I love that. I thought that turned out so great. And then here's another one where we didn't have this was a reshoot, and that's a reshoot. We didn't have any of those connections. That actually turned out great. But I'll be back with ropes. Yep. So good. A little midway narration that tied that well together, I thought. Narration's an interesting thing. I didn't know too much about it. I was trying to pull back. Like, I haven't studied narration. I don't know how it's supposed to work, but that worked out great. Okay, so this is cool. So, I mean, obviously, there's no audio. You're not going to be able to hear the movie audio. I couldn't figure that out. So, you'll have to go back and, actually watch the movie. But this scene was awesome. Shane, our main character here, he is a real, he's really playing the organ right now, and he's really good. That's his, profession. He's a music teacher, and that's his main instrument. So we wanted to highlight his skill set there. But then also, I just felt like I was missing something. Like, I needed to show off more of the turmoil that he was in as a character. And so we have all this extra stuff that I thought of at the very last second. And it's so perfect. It's hilarious. I mean, he's kind of praying, looking the Bible for answers, meditating, staring at this face of an angel, kind of like soul searching. So it's kind of a really beautiful scene. This whole movie is ridiculous and stupid and funny, but I actually thought that was funny. Okay, so now here's a dream scene. So this is the dream scene. It's hard to pull off. I didn't want to go with any kind of weird transitions or effects, because I just figured the cleaner, the better. If I was trying to do too much, it was actually going to scrub the whole thing. I never stopped the recording. Gotcha. Oh, well. I'll have to figure that out, but okay, so that's the dream scene, and Genevieve, her acting is real weird, but I liked it. I didn't really coach. I did to some level coach some of the acting, but I know a lot of it I realized the best thing was just because no one's a trained actor, no one's a trained actress, no one cares about being a trained actor or a trained actress. And just to let them kind of do whatever was the most natural for them, or they felt more comfortable with, even with the accents. I didn't really care about the accents. It was everyone had their own. I wanted everyone to feel ownership of the movie, and that was something that was really cool. So I didn't want it to just be my thing. I wanted everyone to feel like they own their part of it, and so I think that worked out great, because it really made everyone proud of their stuff and brought a lot of cool stuff out. So. Okay, this is the mayor scene. So funny. I don't know if you ever... I mean, obviously, maybe you noticed the mayor's evil on the wall, but... This is a tough scene because this audio in here was terrible, but I didn't have enough time to pull up real sound, and I just decided to do all in-camera audio. And I had a camera overheating this day, which was really frustrating, so I'm actually shooting in 2 different cameras. You can tell there's a slight difference, and that was really frustrating. So this was a tough day. We actually shot majority of the movie in 3 days because Corona had sped up the whole thing, and we had to rush through it. And so this is the beginning. This is early morning, and we have a long day of shooting, our big day, and it just started off such a rough start with overheating cameras and stuff. But, it ties together well. James is, just another one who plays true to his character type, and this is who he is in real life. He's very awkward and stuff, and so we wanted to play to that strength, and and this is a late add into the script, but I actually think it's one of the funnier jokes. It's not like actually that funny, but it's quirky and weird, and it moves the story along. Connected things well. Obviously, like, those are the villains hiding in Pope costumes, which is going to later tie in the fact that the mayor is evil, and he's in cahoots with the evil villains. And that kind of idea was actually stolen or inspired by Threat Level Midnight from The Office. How Daryl is like the mayor and he's evil. We just pulled that idea pretty much from them. This scene's so funny. Watch the hand slap. Oh, you can't even hear it. But yeah, this one had a lot of bloopers. We had to do this over and over again because it's such a funny scene. And once again, Greg he's just killing it. I didn't like this, in hindsight. This is one of those things where we're trying to get people in and out, and so when they left, like, they actually had to go, and so I sent them out. I was like, yeah, you're good to go. But then I, had to do a couple things and actually had to switch cameras. So this pivot point, I should have, to be perfectionist, I should have pivoted right from here back into them. But as you'll notice, I actually move probably right where she's standing and swing back into the shot. So the camera actually moves position, and that's just kind of an amateur thing to do, and it bugs me. And looking back, I'm like, that's just one mistake that, you'd like to fix, but you just time crunching kind of thing. So, and there's the deadly ropes, which is just such a ridiculous concept that these ropes are the thing that's going to stop the evil villains, and now they have, like, I get it. A lot of this stuff doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's what I love about this thing. But okay, so I shot this on my Mavic Pro 2 with IM drone license at nighttime. I thought that looked great. Kind of scene setting. I don't do a lot of establishing shots. I feel like I don't follow too much of a traditional shot composition with like wides and mediums, but that was one of the good things, because I was overthinking it. I was really writing out all these storyboards and trying to think about what's the textbook way to do this, and with being so rushed and having to shoot it so fast, I ended up just like kind of doing it whatever made sense to me. And it's amazing that I got everything, like, especially this last scene. I was, a lot of working parts. I'm all by myself, and I'm trying to figure out, lighting, and trying to make sure everyone's in the right spot. And we shot this out of order, which was really tough. And I'm like looking through the script and making all these scribbled notes. And I remember this was our last shoot of the day. I remember finishing and like, man, I'm sure I missed something, but I somehow didn't miss anything. And the acting actually ended up being great. We shot through with master shots, and then I had some cutaways like this. I had them redo. Oh yeah, so great. There's those big. You can talk, and then this music. So cool. Yeah, cool thing about this, Shane, our main character, he's a music teacher, and so I had him. Wanted to give everybody a more ownership of the movie, even if being the main character, he probably had enough on his plate, but he helped pick out all the music, and I kind of put it everywhere, but I had him pick out music, and we wanted to do stuff that was, we didn't want to deal with any copyright issues, so we picked out all music that's like 100 years old, so that the copyright laws, I think, for most songs, it kind of expire. So this is Beethoven, I think. You can see me in the reflection of the glasses. What? And then I'm about to come in right here. Boom, that's me. Which at the first I did, you can see I'm editing on Final Cut, which I know makes me an amateur. I need to learn Premiere already. But this is all reshot. This was the last thing we shot, I think, other than the narration. Because we were all together for like one final time as the program was ending. And I just had everyone bring their costumes. And we did all these headshots. Lucas is funny. He's the narrator, but you haven't seen him yet. You see him at the end, but it's funny because this doesn't make sense. We shouldn't have done this. It broke all the rules, but it's one of those things where I was like, I compromised the integrity of the film just because to me it was more important to like make everybody happy, and he wanted this shot in there, and I put it in there. And then, everyone had seen parts of the film as it was coming along. So as we were premiering it, I wanted like a little surprise, and so this is me. I put myself in it. And I've done that in a lot of my videos. It's kind of turning into like a weird trademark of mine that I don't know what that says about my personality. But it was funny. It was to shock everybody. They were all complaining that I wasn't in the movie enough. And I prefer not to be, honestly. Like, I like being behind the camera. But this was a treat kind of for everybody, and they got a kick out of it. So, so we reshot that because without it, it was such a big Star Wars tribute, like I'm your mother, and the response, like if you can go back to my rough one or even the two, I think there was just this weird like lack of reaction. It was very just like underwhelming, and I was like, we need to really blow that part up. So we did. I think really good job with adding that in. Gave back my ropes. Chris has a sword, just adds to the hilarious ramp up. And then now she has a gun. Kind of inspired by, like, if you've seen like SNL's the What You Say, and it's the guy from Lonely Island, and they're just all shooting each other in a room. That's kind of the inspiration there. Chris does another great job with face. Shot this in 120 frames. And the music really picks up. This is just a green screen flash on the airsoft gun. Our only special effects of the whole film. But yeah, facial expression is great. I didn't even have him really in focus until the end right there, but that was okay. You idiot. Hilarious line. And then she gets shot. It's just so funny, like, the don't make any sense kind of humor of like the whole plot of the movie up to that point was we got to get the ropes to stop the villain, and then but what's a rope going to do against the sword, and then what's the sword going to do against a gun, and then you think, oh great Scott Florence, like you think he's going to be upset, but he's like, nice shot. So it's just like no one's going to address the ridiculousness of it, and that's kind of what we wanted to go for there. Great hairlining through his beard, you can see it really coming through. I like that. Another side thing about Kristen, our beautiful Beatrice, I forgot her name. She was a D1 basketball player at Ohio University in Miami. So, fun fact about her, she was a small forward, a great jump shot. So these are some more of our friends. That's me and another one of the person in the program, and then our two friends in the background who weren't in the program, but we spent a lot of time with. Just wanted to get everybody in the movie. And then just kind of a cheesy close. This, when before I had the music, I didn't feel really good about this. I thought the ending was very, very incomplete. I was like, something about this didn't feel right. I just don't feel like it makes sense. It was such a ramp up. And this is like, the music really, like you gotta, if you haven't seen this and you're interested, you gotta go back and watch this with the music and really feel the rise and the swell. Because this showed me in another new way. I already knew this, but it really showed me how much music just can carry the film, where something felt really just like flatline for a while. This like created the resolution, the falling action and the resolution that I needed. So that was, music just carries us at the end. And the narration just once again kind of ties it all together and just was that last piece of the puzzle that we needed. Here's a great shot of New York. It's funny because the opening shot's Paris. I wasn't trying to really make a whole lot of sense here. I just wanted to put some pretty neutral stock footage. This is cheesy. It's so funny. Watch her reaction. Oh, we're best friends? No, like she was so not nothing. A lot of people wanted us to do some kind of like romantic ending, but that, it's not what we were doing here. It was more like a women's rights, kind of like equality. Like she, if you notice, what's really going on here is, I'm your best friend, so friend zone, And then what's cool here is, what's going on the whole time between this character. The main theme of this movie is he's this dynamic, moody, emotional, hotshot detective, and she's actually the one carrying along, like getting it done, the whole time, even though she has these really corny lines. But by the end, it kind of like he calls her after you, Inspector Bright, and then kind of for the first time gets recognized as an equal, which is, equality for all people kind of thing, which was cool. And then a little corny joke at the end, and then we come to Lucas. The thing with the color, what I was doing with that is every time we pull out of the story, like with me earlier on, editing, and then Lucas at the end on camera, it's almost like, the whole idea with that was that he's reading the story, like he's telling the story. And so pulling him out was just like, I thought it would be cool to, bring some color back in and kind of, break up the black and white some, which I thought, made the black and white more of a character. I think it was less about, adding color and more trying to really highlight and elevate that we did this in black and white. I get goosebumps right here. Okay, so red roses are red. Doesn't make any sense to the movie at all. And what that actually was a tribute, because my uncle died. It's really sad, actually. We had the main character's brother died in a car accident 2 days before we finished the movie. And my uncle died about 3 days before the movie finished. And he is a musician and a poet and an artist and lived in New York. And one of his iconic poetry is red in the song, or one of his poems. It was "Red roses are red," and it was really more how he would say it than less about the words. And so then like the credits hit, and this is my dad's band, who he was. My dad played music together, and my dad's a big rock star. He's played with like Dave Matthews. He's been in a band like for my whole life, honestly, like before I was born, so like 30 years, 35 years. So I always told myself, like, if I ever made a movie, that I would put my dad. I would use my dad's music. So he's the song that comes in right here at the credits, and that gives me chills every time. And I'll just put it on this microphone. So that's my uncle singing that line. And so it's just a thing for me. I sent it to my dad and to my, for the people who are grieving my uncle right now. It's just a really cool thing I got to like put in there. And I didn't tell them that was going to come. It just kind of came at the end, and it meant a lot to them. And my dad called me like in tears. He was just like, man, it's so cool. It's just like a little thing. I mean, this movie's, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a little movie, but just a cool thing to do. It's just a special thing to do for my dad, I thought. So this is funny. I spelled assistant camera. Oh well, I'm not gonna fix it. I'm fine with it. But the credits are difficult. It's a hard thing to do. It's just a technical thing. I had to like actually spend more time researching how to do credits than pretty much anything else. But I'll just fast forward through. I mean, it's pretty simple stuff. I didn't do a whole lot of technical parts. And then I did a music tribute at the end. Include all the stuff that we use. And then, that's the song. So my uncle's name was Mebane. And my dad's Bucket is his band. So that's what comes in. That's what's playing right now during the credits. So that was really cool for me. Just a cool moment. Special thing I'll always kind of look back on. Blue Ridge Fellows it's the Christian organization that we're in. So Blue Ridge Fellows production. I just took the logo and matched the font. And that's my own logo, Harley Taylor original. So, and then I think last thing is dedicated to Lance Mercy. Yeah, that's our main character's brother who passed away in a car accident. And then Finn, and that's the end of my movie. Hope you guys enjoy it. It's one of those things. It's like it's way more for the people who were part of it and got to make it. And I don't really anticipate it being that enjoyable to the secondary audience is anyone who doesn't know us or doesn't know me. But yeah, this movie was made for a small group of people. So the success of it was way more about it being high quality for those people it was meant for than it being something that was going to reach, and make sense to a lot of people, and I'm okay with that. It's just kind of something I wanted to do for fun. So, but if you do watch it and you do actually find yourself enjoying it, then thank you, and thank you for listening to this commentary. I've really enjoyed this whole process, and I'm excited to have this commentary to look back on. So, Harley Taylor, first short film, hopefully of many. Signing off.